What's going on, everybody? It is a beautiful day in the neighborhood, and you know what that means. The hottest show is on right now. So go tell your family, go tell your friends, go tell everybody that Beyond the Airways is on, and we are on and popping. KP, what's up, baby?
What it do, T Right? Happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you too, sis. Now everybody knows we want to make sure please go and subscribe to go subscribe to the channel because it is definitely the biggest part that we can do by supporting us. You'll be supporting everything else that we do too. Um, I gotta get my girl back. Gotta get KP back, but we're gonna get it back. Um, in no part of it, you know what I'm saying. We want to make sure. Congratulations to the Clemson Tigers in this home area here in South Carolina. They did actually win the ACC championship over the weekend, so they're going to be doing some big things. They're going to be playing in the Orange Bowl, and they're going to be playing the Tennessee Volunteers. Now, I know a lot of people is very interested in seeing this game, but most importantly, the Volunteers is going to be a huge team for you guys to be watching, and I can't wait. Speaking of some things that's trending real quick before we get into our awesome
Hold
interview that
up.
we have tonight,
Hold up. I got something to say.
what you
I
got to
just
say?
want to say that the what is the Clemson Tennessee bowl game? What's that? The I like to call it the teams that the South Carolina Gamecocks beat bowl for 500.
Look, we're not gonna talk about you wanting
Of
to,
course we're not.
hate
I know. I
because
know.
what bowl do y'all have?
We got a bowl. It's something.
It's the holiday
We
bowl.
got
They
one,
they
but it's
that,
it
that's
means
what
at
that's
the
what they
beginning of the
call you
year.
get a participation grade.
No, it ain't. We not playing in the middle of December. We playing in December, the New Year's Eve or January the 1st. We ain't got one of them participation trophy bowls. We got a better bowl. So put some respect on us, okay?
Okay,
Cause we not playing least y'all can one of y'all teams will emerge a victor, but neither one of y'all could emerge victorious against those good old fashioned Gamecocks.
well,
So
I will say, and I hate that adults have done this, but the trending story in sports besides uh Deion Sanders taking the job at Colorado is DJ Uungale. A lot of people can't say his name right, shoot, even they go to the school. Um, he's in the transferring portals. He's actually going to decide to transfer to UCLA or University of Southern California, because that's where he's from. He's from Cali, so
and
that's
then y'all quarterback is in the portal. I just seen that on the news.
yeah,
Y'all
that's
done
what I'm
did it
saying.
for
Like
DJ's. Oh, that's
DJ's
it.
made a
Yeah,
decision. Yeah,
DJ
he
got to go. He got to go.
so
But I think this. I know that we as a people was a little bit upset with Deion Sanders about him transferring to Colorado. And they got a little petty at the SWAC championship, and they played "Don't See You Goodie, Baby." Go ahead, one monkey don't stop. No, so they ain't had to do Dion like that, cause Dion out there winning championships. So y'all ain't had to do that man like that. But I think
well,
that I see both sides of where people are. People are upset that he had those a few of his players transfer in, and then he didn't see them through till they're finished. So they bought into the Deion Sanders
well
dream.
they gonna try to transfer to Colorado. Watch.
Yeah, but they gonna have to sit a year if they just transferred in. You transfer again, you get red shirt, so you can't play. So there'll definitely be, especially his son. His son left the University of South Carolina, and went to
Yeah.
JSU, and now his daddy gone. But I think that we can't be mad at Deion Sanders was making $300,000 a year at Jackson State University. If Colorado, baby, some of y'all done transferred jobs for 25 cents an hour. So y'all is not finna sit up here and play in my face and act like if they didn't offer you $5 million a year, that you wouldn't be packing up, buying a coat, and heading to Colorado. Because I
I
would.
mean, he at the end of the day for Dion, I understand how people thought he was gonna be like the Nick Saban of
Of JSU.
HBCUs. Yeah, well, no,
Well,
well JSU or just
here's
HBCUs in general. I
here's
mean,
the thing though. Those his players have Deion Sanders, listen, for what he donated part of his salary back to Jackson State. Those boys have they couldn't before Deion Sanders got there. If it was raining, they did not have a practice field. They now have two practice fields. They have a new locker room. So what he gave them that will be that he can't pack up and take with them is more than what they gave him in money or anything else. And then you have to realize, because he is the coach, like the football team had to have security because their players was getting robbed and all that stuff. So I think when I look at all of the things and look at everything as a totality, his thing is I might be putting them in more at harm's way by being here, because now y'all got to deal with security. The school, I believe, got a water situation at one point. They couldn't even take no showers and stuff.
I
He
mean,
was getting the
it got
water
to a point
at
where
night.
the players couldn't even be hydrated. You know what I'm saying? Like their safety was at risk.
Exactly. And
And
those
and
things
Dion,
matter too.
he really did a lot of stuff for HBCU. I mean, let's be real. Rick Ross ain't never went to no HBCU college game just because of, okay,
So
and it's not
the
just him. He
cast
just the first one I thought about.
of Bel Air was at the game. Homecoming at JSU this year was lit. And we know that HBCU homecomings are lit all by themselves. Okay?
Right?
If you've ever
You
been
don't
to
need nothing extra. But
you gotta take a week off after the weekend because of the way that the HBCU homecoming, okay? So I think that and then ESPN HBCU will be a thing that's coming because he put eyes on the HBCUs, because so I think that I don't think for any minute I thought that he was gonna coach at JSU until he died. I didn't think that at all. You know, but I because we all know that at some point Coach Prime will be an NFL coach. And this is his path to the NFL. I would not be mad if he was the coach of the Baltimore Ravens, but hey,
nah, y'all need to keep Harbaugh, man.
nah, we can
Dion's
keep
went on
Harbaugh, but our
record. So
offensive coordinator, he got to go. He got to go.
Dion went on record though, saying he doesn't want to coach in the NFL because he doesn't want to try to inspire grown men. Like your inspiration that you have made it to that level should be inspiring enough. So he wants to really inspire
He wants to
young
prepare them for
men.
it.
Yeah, so and I respect him for that. I respect
In other
Prime
words,
for that.
that's code for I don't want to deal with men over 25 because they get on my nerves. I understand what he's saying because people over 25 get on my nerves most days.
So that means I get on her nerves. But
I mean, you said it, not me. I'm just saying.
at the end of the day, the only thing that I think in this situation that probably happened that probably maybe shouldn't have happened. Now, one of his sons is going to stay at Jackson State, far as I've read. Shador is actually going to Colorado with him because he has been kind of voted as should have been a Heisman candidate or made possibility, at least in the talking. And because he was at HBCU, nobody was talking about him like that. Now, I mean,
But didn't
Shador's the real deal, though.
Shador was the one that transferred from USC, right?
No, Shalimar is the one that
Well, all their
transferred.
names sound alike. Okay, so Shalimar is the one that's staying because he can't
Yeah,
transfer the other one. But them children, they ain't got regular names. We need to talk about that.
I
One of
mean,
them baby ones
it's a
got
group
Shiloh,
effort, though.
Milo, and
It's a group
Shalimar and
effort.
Malabar. I don't like it.
It's
So
a group effort that they don't have those names. Okay, he didn't name
we
them
just gonna
children all
call
by
them Lil
himself.
Prime and Lil Primer. The youngest one is Primer, and then the other one be Primest. And then if he got a daughter, it's Princess Prime. Because like, who got time to be remembering his name?
Well, he does have a daughter, um,
Princess Prime.
and she's going to Colorado as well. She's playing basketball, but
Of course she is. He gonna keep his kids close to him, and he said
I
that
mean,
they better
as
not advance it.
as a parent, as anybody as a parent, they're probably gonna feel the same way. I would keep my kids close, especially like what's going on in today's society. You want to keep
And
your
it,
kids
that's
as
damn
close as you
simple.
can. You know,
It's cheaper
so
to keep them closer than to have security for them while they out and about. Just
that is
saying.
a true statement. But yeah, so we're not gonna keep our person that we're interviewing today on hold any longer. I do have a commercial PSA that we got to drop for one of the individuals that's sponsoring the show today. Um, So we're going to put this out here, and then I'm gonna let you guys see that. And then we're gonna bring in Miss Emily Nader because she's got some awesome stuff that she has been doing, and we want y'all to know about it just as much as we got to get to know about it.
Fact.
But today's show is going to be sponsored by GameFly. It is the holiday season. We want you guys to be able to go get the best games for any of your systems that you have. GameFly, you can rent games, you can buy games, but most importantly, you should always have the best games. So we're gonna get into a commercial real quick that they got going on, and then we're gonna be talking to a really dope individual that actually is gonna be telling us a little bit more about what she's been doing in the health field, how you can help manage your stress level, and more.
Hey! I'm looking at you! Before I go in there, I'm coming in there! Mom, get off me! I just want to play it. Huh? Why is the game suck? Look what you made me do! Yes!
Welcome back, guys. Now, once again, today's show is brought to you by GameFly. Do not be like that guy on the commercial. Get your games early. You can always buy your games or rent them at a very low cost. Tell them your friends from Beyond the Airways sent you when you actually do. If you go to our Facebook page and follow us on there, we will definitely send you a promo code that you can get off for your first month. Um, Now we have a young lady that's on the show tonight. She has been doing some awesome things. She's a strength coach. I gotta put it out there the right way now. She is a holistic health and strength coach. Now we know for a fact some teams need that right now. Wink wink. USC, TCU, Ohio State. No, I'm playing. Uh, but she's inspired to, have people live better, have more movement in their life. She's, understands about nutrition, how it can always play better for yourself. She wants to make it to where you don't have to take medication to get yourself in the best health and best positions as possible. Miss Emily Nader, ladies and gentlemen. How's it going?
It's going so well. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm happy to be
Uh,
here.
no problem, no
Nice to
problem.
meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Now, I know you just heard us earlier before you came in. We've been talking about sports, and you're kind of really in that great area because you're doing things to where it can help athletes and people who just like to work out in general be able to, recover naturally instead of taking all these supplements and all this other stuff that doesn't help their body in the best way. So my first big question I have: how did you even get into strength and conditioning and the alternative side of medication?
Totally. Yeah, great question. I kind of started getting interested in the human body, I guess, as like mostly in high school. And as I was growing up, I played a bunch of sports as a kid. I was a dancer, and I was just really fascinated with how the human body moves and also how it can like heal itself when you get a cut. And all of a sudden, it's just like gone in a couple weeks. And I don't know, something like that was like really, really interesting to me. And actually, as you guys are talking about that stuff in sports, I went to Penn State, and I went to Penn State because it was a big football school. I wanted all that spirit. It had a really great program for kinesiology, which is what I studied there. And just being in that environment with all of the athletes, I just knew that that was like athletes are a group of people that are so incredible to work with because they have this drive that is naturally there for the most part for most athletes, in terms of motivation and wanting to improve themselves to be better at their sport. And what was interesting for me is reading, and the first time I really thought about it was in a sports psychology class that I took, and we were looking at studies based off of how physical activity can reduce symptoms of mental health issues like depression and anxiety with medication, without medication, and then medication alone. And that was one of the first introductions that I had to that concept. But also throughout that class too, it's so interesting when you get in the mind of an athlete and how they have to focus in the game and like be in the moment to be able to be their best and play their best and be there for the team. So much of that, if not everything about an athlete's mindset, can translate over to regular general population people like you and me who are just trying to make life better for themselves.
Mm. No, I mean, and I feel like I was a great athlete, but we won't know that because I did not play at the collegiate level the way I wanted to. Uh, but but for a normal person, there's actually being able to do alternative. Um, well, let me ask this question first before I go in that deep. What age were you when you knew that this is what you wanted to do? Because I know a lot of people's getting ready to look at stuff in like high school and they're thinking about the colleges they're going to apply to, and or their parents are at least, and they got to have these conversations with their kids. So what age and how early on did you know that this is what you wanted to do?
Yeah, I really did not know. I knew that applying while I was applying to school in my senior year of high school. I think that's when that happened. I was really interested in psychology. I knew that to be true. But talking with my parents about it, they wanted me to maybe, they were like pushing me to strive for a little bit more. There's nothing wrong with psychology. I really love it and I'm gravitating more towards that. But the point that I'm trying to make is that like I kind of just chose something that I was interested in and learned more about that and different topics as I kind of went along. And new ideas kind of sparked inspiration in me or things that made me more curious to kind of go down a further path. So as I was studying kinesiology and taking my psychology courses, my philosophy courses, which were really interesting to me. And this is where the first idea of holistic modality of like healing kind of was introduced to me. We talked about different ways that you can treat a patient. And one of the ways was holistically mind, body, and spirit. And that was the one that resonated with me the most because I feel very in tune with the spiritual like soul side of who I am, that I felt that that couldn't be ignored in terms of healing for anybody or just like that's how I view it for myself. And I was I was maybe like 19 or 20 years old when I mean, I think depression went on for me for longer than I had known. I didn't know that I was depressed until somebody told me and was like, "You're depressed. Like, it makes sense. Like, you have depression." And
Wow.
I didn't even know what that meant. But right when they told me that, it's like it all made sense. Like, I started connecting the dots to like what was happening, the events that were happening in the past for me, and how I felt moving through my life during that time, it just all made sense. So at that point, and connecting all the dots, I was thinking about the classes and what I was learning in school, and really how I could apply that to my own life to help myself, because that was my biggest priority. And taking care of myself is still probably the biggest priority that I have um, before anything else. And so basically, kind of one thing led to another, and I'm still learning kind of exactly what it is I'm pinpointing my interests on. But holistic healing, especially after going through that experience for myself, is definitely something I'm super passionate about. And so that's kind of where I'm following. I'm letting my experiences kind of guide me to what it is that I'm passionate about and how to help people.
I
Okay,
definitely
cool.
think that's amazing. And as someone who didn't know that I was manically depressed until someone told me I was manically depressed, it all made sense. But I was also one of those people that was like, okay, I don't necessarily really want to take medication. But at the end of the day, while you're trying to figure out the holistic path, you gotta take the medication because sleeping is a thing that they tell you you need. Sometimes it's necessary, but I think that it's amazing that we have this generation of people who are able to do the non-traditional to get the best results for them. And some people are anti-medication, but they still have things that they need to have met. And I think that having the options to be able to deal with things in a different way but still get the help that you need is amazing.
Yeah, 100%. And I know it's the medication is not necessarily a bad thing. It shouldn't be looked at negatively at all. I think that it's definitely there to help people, especially for a period of time when you're figuring things out for yourself. And in that moment, you're like, I don't know. I just got this information. It's a little bit overwhelming. Like you don't know what to do, and it's like, do I listen to my doctor? Do I like what do I do? So the influences around you definitely are are huge, and what you have available to you as well, and just but you learn as you go, and things happen the way that they should, and you just have to have faith and trust that you're gonna figure it out for yourself no matter what, and if one path or another is one that you want to take, then do it and see where it takes you. And then you can always pivot a different direction if it doesn't feel right or you're
I
learning it.
definitely agree with that. So my question for you is one of the things that I read in your bio is that you deal primarily with movement and dealing with social anxieties or whatever through movement and exercise. So tell us a little bit more about your philosophy there and maybe give us a tip or two about what we can do for ourselves to increase movement and and kind of connect all of that.
Yeah. So movement was one of the very first things that I leaned on when I decided not to take antidepressants. So, and it was also getting my mindset right too. So I know it can be really hard to, especially when you're in that state of mind, when you just have all these negative thoughts. It feels like the world's working against you. You like going to the gym or going outside feels like such a challenge. I One of the major things that should be the first thing that you shift are your thoughts and what you tell yourself, because that is going to weigh heavily on the actions that you take for yourself. So even though I was in a really depressed state, I knew and everything was showing that movement was going to help me, even the smallest amount. So I said, I'm going outside, I'm going for a walk, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm just going to clear my head, get my body moving. And sure enough, I felt really good after. And going through periods of my life too, in different times, there are events that happen that you don't expect, and they can throw you back into that state where you're just like, I am lost, my life is changing. It's like that overwhelming feeling, I don't know what I'm doing. And I kind of thought I like to think about what makes me happy, what made me happy in the past that I did. And so another form of movement that I rediscovered for myself was dance, which is what I grew up with. So maybe you can think about whatever it is that you enjoyed. Like if you used to play basketball, grab a ball, go outside, shoot some hoops by yourself, or call a friend, ask them to join you, and just move your body because it's really going to make a difference in the short term. And then as you keep doing it over and over again, all those good feelings keep adding up, and you recognize that you ultimately feel better than you did like a month ago. And if you recognize that that's from the changes that you've made in your life, then you keep doing those things that make you feel good and make you happy.
Well, I feel you on that because when I go to the gym, I do feel better. I don't, I make better decisions about going to go get certain foods and stuff. Speaking of food, because you kind of play into the nutrition role, and right now people is gonna eat everything. We just came from Thanksgiving, and they gave us what we call an excuse to eat like we normally don't. And then we got this great holiday called Christmas coming up soon, and the New Year when everybody gonna say, I can't eat like this no more. I'm gonna make a resolution, and then they only keep it for 24 hours. Um,
The level of hot. Oh, you got to show out in front of company.
well, I'm telling the truth. They don't. Okay, maybe 24 hours is a little strict.
Now
Okay,
you know
they don't
everybody
keep
do
it. They
good through
don't
the
keep it
Daniel
for
fast.
30 days. They do it strong. Planet Fitness to
The
get rich, and
Daniel
the other
fast.
one.
When they on that Daniel fast, they be down there to the gym. Soon as that fast break, baby, they ain't seen the gym since. But Planet Fitness don't get their $14.99 every month. They'll pay for the subscription, but they ain't gonna be there. They're not gonna be there.
So, and I mean that's true. So, how does one make sure that they understand the nutrition value that they need to do, and then how important? Because I tell people all the time now, you can work out all the time, but you can't cheat a bad diet. So how can someone who's very intimidated when they go to the gym first and foremost, because that's stressful within itself, or it can be, I'm not gonna say it will, but it can be. So what is your advice or tips on someone who wants to get themselves back healthy? They know the nutrition, they go to the grocery store on a regular basis, but they just been buying what grandma bought for a long time or what they grew up on, and they realize over time that that's not really the best options. They just didn't know any different to go get a different option.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, there's so much to unpack here. And this stuff makes me so excited because it's something that I discovered for myself going through everything. So if you look, I'll start with this. If you look at your plate and you see like what food is on there, like just take a second, like before you eat it, to notice like what food is on there, why you chose to put that food on there, and whether or not like you actually like it. Because one of the last things you said is like you're just buying things that you got in your childhood, but it's not really serving. You might not really be serving you anymore. So you want to discover what you like, which is kind of the fun way to think about it is that you're learning about yourself and trying new things and learning what you like because maybe what you grew up on just doesn't work for you anymore. It's getting old. You're not changing the way you want to. So I like that. And in terms of being overwhelmed as well with what do I eat and how do I change? Because there's so much changing all at once when you're making these resolutions for yourself, which sometimes is one of the reasons why it's so hard for it to stick and really be sustainable. And I think one of the very important things to pinpoint is your intention. Why are you doing this? Why is your goal to lose weight or gain muscle or eat healthier? What are you doing it for? Because if you don't understand why you're doing it, it's not going to be important enough for you to continue doing it. So if you're just going to the gym like, well, I showed up to the gym, like I made it to the gym and like that's it, and then it's like and you keep doing that, but then you don't have an intention. You're like, well, what am I even doing this for? So think about why it's important to you. Are you trying to improve your health? And if you are, get a little bit more specific about it. In what way? Are you trying to prevent something from happening? Are you trying to, like, in terms of injury or disease? Are you wanting to feel more confident? And if so, then making sure that you're not just going to the gym to punish yourself, because that is not what we want. That's not self love at all. We want to do it as an act of care. So I think, again, with the mindset is the first thing that you need to think about is, why am I doing this, and why is this going to help me? But like, not really doing it in terms of like, and or stressing out about it, which is easier said than done. But if you have a goal that you're trying to hit, to, sometimes losing 30 pounds in 30 days just is just not healthy. So getting realistic too, in terms of, how can I make this change last for me? Because a lot of times, especially with New Year's resolutions, and people make these goals, and I think it's an amazing thing. I take part in it too, but in terms of it being super drastic and changing so much to a point where you can't maintain that because it's such a huge change in your life, then it's it feels like a really good way to make it sustainable is making your goals just a little bit smaller, so then you're building these habits over time, like drinking water each morning when you get up. That can make you feel so much better than you could even imagine, like the effects that can add up. But like I said, there's so much I can say about this. But again, I think it really comes down to your intention behind what you're doing. And then knowing that it's an act of love for yourself to take care of your body, and keeping the promise to yourself as well. Because if you're not keeping that promise to yourself to take care of yourself and achieve that goal that you're setting for yourself, it it can set up a pathway of not being able to rely on you. And you want to be able to trust yourself and be able to do the things that you want to do.
I definitely
Okay.
think, I definitely think that's so true. I know for me, I'm one of those people that I don't do good with drastic changes. And so for me, not last year, this year, I had weight loss surgery, but last summer I started the process. And when I was meeting with the consultation lady, the lady was like, do you drink sodas? And I said, why, yes, I do. I drink a Pepsi a day. And she was like, well, you can't have no Pepsi. Well, ma'am, listen. Um, I hear you, and that's fine. But I'm not gonna be able to quit cold turkey. So this is what I'm gonna do for you. I'm gonna compromise. I will go from a 20-ounce bottle to a 7.5-ounce can every day, and then from there, I was like, okay, we'll do every other day, and then it went meh once a week. Then it got to the point where I just didn't even want them anymore. But I noticed that I'm the type of personality, I don't do good with just like, you're not gonna, don't tell me what I can't have, because then I'm a woman.
Yeah,
But I learned that about, I have a self awareness about me. So it's always important when you're setting these goals. Like if you know that money management is not your thing, saying that you're gonna save $1,000 in January is probably not gonna be an attainable goal. But maybe $100 or $200 or whatever the case may be, will be better. So don't set yourself up for failure from the beginning. And I've always been like, you know what? Yeah, okay, yeah, no, I'm not gonna be able to do that instantly. Because what I learned is in my early 20s, I would diet and I'm like, okay, I'm only eating salads. And I would eat salads and do good. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna treat myself and mess around and go on a Zaxby's binge for like 2 weeks because I realized that I can't just not have, so you gotta stair step me away from, not the crack, but you know what I'm saying. Like I gotta gradually leave it alone. But don't tell me I'm just not gonna have it. No, it's probably not gonna happen. I lied. But at least I
totally.
know that about myself, and I think it's important for people to kind of take perspective, and then first, like, you know what type of personality do you have? In the past, has that worked for you? And then set your goals based around you, not just around the fact that it's January the 1st and we got to have this whole list of things that may or may not even be feasible for you in this time. And then you get mad and then you just throw all the goals away December comes around, you look at the paper and be like, I forgot I was supposed to do all of this. So just be realistic with your goals. That's all I'm saying. Because for me, I'm trying to be realistic.
Yeah.
What about the people who are they're thinking they're realistic by doing like intermediate fasting and the keto diet was huge like a year or so ago. But like when they're doing those type of things, should they consult with their physician before they get started with all this?
Great question. Yes. So there's a lot about the keto diet's a great example, I'd say. The keto diet can be really good for some people. It can work really well for them. For other people, it can cause a lot more problems and stress on their body than and they could be like, "Oh, it didn't work for me." Everybody is different, and you have to eat in a way that is good for you. So it would be it would be really smart to go to your doctor, maybe get some blood work done, so then you have like a baseline. Um, because certain diets, also too, like there's so many diets out there that you could jump on the bandwagon for, but ultimately, what I like to guide my clients in doing is understanding themselves and how to eat for their own body and what makes them feel good. So, again, it's like that self awareness piece that KP, you were mentioning, is really being in tune with yourself and knowing yourself, what you like, how you are in certain situations, and just feeling, your body gives you signs like, oh, I can't go to the bathroom for like 4 days. Like that, there's probably something in my diet that is causing that. Or, like my stomach is getting really bloated every time I eat like a big bowl of pasta. And for me, that was a sign like maybe I should dial back on that and see how my body reacts. So if you don't go to your doctor, I mean, it would be great to do that if you're thinking of getting on like some type of medical diet, because I know that they use the keto diet for medical purposes. And if you're going to navigate it for yourself, just really, and in both senses too, be in touch with your body and really build that mind body connection and knowing like how your body feels after you eat certain foods, even the mindset that you have while you're eating foods. Because like sometimes I'll be like stress eating cookies, and then I'll not even realize like how many cookies that I ate, and then I'll be like, why did I do that? And then I try to think about my emotions around my behaviors, like, okay, I've been stressed. I've been thinking about work, like, and my instant reaction was to reach for the cookies. So it's kind of taking a step or taking a second to be really present and thinking, how do I feel right now? What am I thinking? Like, why am I doing this? Like, what's the real reason behind me doing this? And in that way, then you can kind of make those changes on your own and understanding your own tendencies and kind of creating a diet around what works for you and what makes you feel good and what brings your soul and your body nourishment.
Cool. Now, what about the people who think intermediate fasting has been like, because that's a big wave now too.
Yeah. Yeah. So same thing. I actually played around with that as well for myself. When I quit my ADHD medication, I went to fasting because I understood that it could be a way to increase my focus and like my cognitive functioning, especially while I'm at work. So I started playing around with fasting and it worked really good for me for like a period of time. I was only eating in like a 4 hour window, between like the hours of like 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. And then the rest of the time I just wouldn't eat. But then after a while, it just wasn't sustainable for me. So I shifted it down a little bit. I went to 8 and like what's the math? 8 and 14? No. 8 and 20, 8 and 16. Oh my goodness. And then I went to like 8 and 16, where I fast for 16 hours and my feeding window is 8 hours. But then again, it just depends on your lifestyle and what works for you and how your body reacts to it. So now personally, I intermittent fast, but I do 12 and 12. So I try not to eat between the hours of 8 or 9 p.m. and then 8 or 9 a.m. And give or take, I don't have like super strict rules for myself, but I just know that's what makes me feel the best like at this moment in my life. So I continue to do that until maybe one day it won't work for me. So definitely don't be afraid to like, try it, mess around with it. But again, just kind of think of yourself almost as like an experiment, but looking at it without judgment or and really too much analysis. So you're not judging yourself for the actions that you're taking, but you're just kind of logging the data each time you do something each day. So then you understand how your body's reacting to whatever it is that you're doing.
Okay. I mean, I can't do the keto because they be doing too many eggs and all that stuff, and I don't do eggs like that.
Yeah.
But the intermediate fasting, I've actually gave it some thought um, a couple times. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know if I could just say, okay, you're only gonna eat between 12 and 6, because by that time I'm gonna tell myself don't eat certain things between that time frame, and then it's a wrap. It's like how Kendra said earlier. Don't tell me I ain't gonna do something, and then I gotta figure it out. So I'm the type of person like I'll eat if my body's craving something, but outside of that, like I'm pretty healthy-ish.
Mhm.
Like I won't binge eat like a whole bunch of those stuff Oreos. But Skittles, we talked about that last show. Me and Skittles and Cool Ranch Doritos got a good relationship. I ain't even gonna lie.
In the
But
say, honey, I know you ain't done set up here and tell these. I was gonna run back the tape. We was gonna have a
but
please explain this moment.
but I mean, but here's the thing though. It works for Christian McCaffrey. It has worked for, a lot of other players in the NFL. They love
What team you
Skittles
play
too.
for?
Look, he
Oh,
played for the
okay.
49ers. He played for the 49ers. He did
Who
play for
you
the
play
Panthers.
for?
Don't.
You
What
play
team do I
for
play for?
CI
I play for
Media.
Beyond the Airwaves. Don't do me like that.
You play for Beyond the Airways. Oh, okay. 'Cause who
Don't
you
do me
play
like
for?
that.
You don't
But
even. You don't do enough. You can't be eating what they eat. The people' job is to be physical. You physically have a job. Y'all are not the same, but it's okay though. I love you. You know it.
but we get it in when we can. But because when you brought up stress, and right now this is a stressful time of the year, how would you give advice for those people who manage that stress? Because they might be financially, going through stuff, not being able to buy certain people's presents, bills are still going through and Christmas is going around, you know what I'm saying? And people are still stressed out about that. Um, what type of advice can you give them besides say, look, Christmas is gone, but y'all ain't getting squat? like you can't tell them that, and you can't tell your kids that. But
It's
what kind of advice? Because I mean, people either going to eat a lot more when they're stressed out, that comfort food for the stress, or their mindset is just, I don't know what I'm gonna do, so I'm gonna just eat until I figure it out. And you're in the same boat that you were already in, prior to before.
Yeah, totally. Food is definitely used as that thing that people gravitate towards when they're stressed out. I mean, I feel like just naturally that's just kind of what people do, but it's like, okay, you think that the food is going to solve your problem in one way or another, which is why you're reaching for it, because you're like pushing your issues aside. So you're like, let me just eat and like maybe it will go away. But then eating like that really just develops more problems for you down the line, and the other original problems that you had are still there. They're not going away. So it's almost thinking about how can you nourish. It's like thinking about other foods, like besides the food that you consume. Like we also consume things in our minds, like we consume information. We're like scrolling through TikTok, Instagram, like what's in your feed, what's surrounding you, what kind of information are you inputting every single day. And you may not even recognize that your environment is having that effect on you, but sometimes even the people around you can cause you stress, which is a reason why a lot of times, like this time of year when everyone's catching up with family members, maybe family members that like kind of like get on your nerves, and even friends too that you haven't seen in a while that are kind of making you like low key stressed out because, but like you don't really know why, but all of a sudden like this time of year you're just like everything's happening at once. It's a lot. So thinking about the food again as like not necessarily how can you nourish yourself like with the food that you're eating, but is there something that you can do to help alleviate that stress that's not food? So movement for me is one of them. Meditation is something that I really lean on a lot. And meditation can seem a little freaky, especially if you haven't done it before. But really, all it means is just finding a sense of calm. And all you have to do is just really start by focusing on your breath and doing cycles of that. And I started with guided meditation. So that really helps me. Also, even just taking a moment to get some fresh air or find a patch of grass to just kind of stand in and because nature is like super healing and can really allow ourselves to just kind of dissipate our problems because when especially when we're in nature it's almost like connecting to that spiritual side of ourselves where we recognize that there's something greater than just me in this moment right now. Like there's something greater out there that we're all a part of, and then that kind of brings about a sense of gratitude in a way too. So if you can cultivate some gratitude, that's going to be the antidote for you for any sort of stress or overwhelm. So if you think about it, it's like that word enough. It's like I don't have enough. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough food. I don't have enough like gifts to give my kids. Like, what is enough? Like, what does that even mean? Like, there's just importance that we like, place on certain words. So, and enough can never be filled by something physical either. So, it's just thinking about like, hey, like I'm super grateful to have my family around me or the people that I love, my friends that I deem my family. I'm really grateful here to spend this time with you. And that's what's really important around this time of year, anyways, being grateful for what we have. And really, not even just this time of year, but every single day. And just being really like just having connection with those around you that you love can really help take that away and helping the people around you recognize too what's really important. Is it something physical or is it what you have, the connection that you have? So connection to those that you love, like having a friend that you can call, or again, like I said, a movement practice that means something to you, getting some fresh air, coloring in a book, or listening to a podcast, like your favorite thing, or taking a bath. Like it could literally be anything that helps you kind of relax and wind down. I would just say a lot of people tend to like gravitate toward like the booze, which sometimes, hey, like it's a fun time, like to have a good time with the people that you love, but just a reminder too that you don't always have to reach for the booze in times of stress either.
I definitely agree with that. And I personally have cursing coloring books. So they're like cursing adult coloring, like so like that is one of the things that I do to de-stress is I color my cuss words because that keeps me from saying them out loud. But I also want to say that especially in this time of year where you're gathering with people, that it's perfectly okay to set healthy boundaries with people, even your family. Sometimes we have to say, you know what, we're not going to talk about that. Respectfully. Don't go cussing your mamas out and telling them that Kendra on the podcast told you to do that. It's not what I'm saying.
Because kids are
Respectful.
gonna make sure y'all get
Because
slapped in the mouth.
I'm not dealing with nobody's mama up here because I fight, okay? And so like I'm not saying, to curse everybody out, but it's definitely okay to say, you know what, I'm not discussing that, or remove yourself from toxic situations. Like you don't have to force yourself to be in those spaces if you're not comfortable. But like you said, it's about the people and valuing your time and your experiences with people during this time of year. But we know that the holiday blues is a real thing. We know that people, get really depressed when their loved ones aren't here, especially, this is kind of like the first year, in the last 2 years that I don't even think we had any COVID restrictions. Like everybody just living like COVID ain't outside. But so people are doing more, but you also have to remember that the people we were pre-COVID and the people we are on the other side of COVID may not be the same people. So some of these people y'all meet might be meeting your cousin that you done grew up with for the first time. Cause that ain't the same cousin that you knew pre-COVID. Like everybody had a lot of time to evolve, to grow, to be retrospective, to drive themselves crazy because they were stuck in the house forever. So like you just really have to prepare yourself mentally going in and be okay with leaving. Like my whole thing is if I'm gonna go now. I'll see y'all later. I will leave in a heartbeat. I'm not one of those people like after church where everybody be hanging around. I'll be gone. As soon as I don't even think that in and amen is gone, and I'm already in the car. Like I don't.
You leave before the benediction.
No, I get to the benediction, but I
I'm
start
gonna tell your daddy. I'm gonna
when you
tell him.
start singing. When
I'm
they
calling
start
the priest.
singing "May His Peace," I get my purse and I be right there by the usher. And as soon as they that men, I be on out the door. I got to go. Honey, I don't want to talk to y'all no more. I got to go. Like, but I understand that about myself. So I
Mhm.
think that it's okay to be very self aware, and be introspective because you know you better than anybody. So you have to be
Yes.
able to put yourself in healthy spaces because there's no point in you spending all this time with people and then you come home and you got to decompress and you need a counselor, a bottle of liquor, some ice cream, three lifetime movies to decompress because you dealt with them. So like it's okay to be like, you know what, we're not discussing that. Or I won't be in attendance. It's okay to tell you people, I'm not available. Oh, y'all doing it when? You know what? I got to work. Don't lie.
Yeah.
Don't lie.
Yeah.
Don't lie. Don't
Yeah.
be lying to your mom. You know what? I got to watch my dog. I don't even know. Ruby said Ruby got a cold. She can't come. So I can't come. So we can't come. I'm gonna nurse the dog. Like whatever you gotta say to get out of it again. Don't have your
Don't put it on Ruby. Don't put it on the dog now.
baby Ruby. Our family Christmas party is this Sunday, and she got an outfit for the Christmas party. It's a raid because the Ravens Steelers game is Sunday, so it's a purple themed Christmas party. We all got to wear Ravens purple. Ruby she got an outfit, so she going because I can't show up at no family function without the dog. I feel like they love her more than they love me, but that's a story for another day. But I think that
Just because she probably stayed a whole church service after they even say amen. That's probably why.
baby Ruby be ready to go too because Ruby be like, it's time to go. I'm out. Like, I got 30 minutes. If it ain't going the way I want it to go, we finna go. But I think that, during this time of year, as we're being introspective and closing out 2022 and preparing for 2023, it's always good to just stop and take a pause, look at what worked well for you this year, look at things you want to change, but give yourself grace because, these last couple years been crazy. It's been a whole Pandarosa outside. She's still out there. She probably trying to go get some of her friends. We don't know what's next. But the one thing COVID taught us was that life is short and things can change in an instant. So you have to be able to enjoy the time because you could wake up and you might not be able to go nowhere for I don't know 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months. So enjoy the time and enjoy you because I think for me I love COVID because I had fun by myself. I was chilling. I've been cracking jokes on Facebook since the Pandarosa started, and I don't think I've stopped yet. And that's just been my outlet. But I work from home. I live at home. My dog's at home. I like being at my house. My house is lit, but everybody doesn't have that experience. But definitely just find some time for you to just be introspective and prepare for 2023.
That's what's up. We should all do that. And like I said, I'm gonna tell your daddy you skipping out of church a little early, huh? You better wait till the
So you
benediction
skip.
over. But
So you skip.
you even got tired. The
It's
pastor
skip.
done said neighbor too many times for you. But
Baby, I'm tired of talking to my neighbor. My neighbor wrestling. I ain't got time for this. I'm ready to go.
but
Uh-huh.
but Emily, one of the other things I want to ask you real quick before we get ready to wrap up today's show is if someone is looking to start a plan and you are a expert at this, how would you let them get in contact with you if they're trying to get in contact to get themselves together? And then the second part of that question would be, what would you recommend right off the bat before they even get in contact with you? Like, would you recommend like don't do WebMD, go do your real MD? What would you? I know because people do that. I ain't gonna lie. So I mean, what would you recommend for them first?
Yeah, that's a good one. I like to think that, there's like that inner voice that you have inside of you. Maybe you could call it your inner critic. There's one of those, of course. Kind of get rid of that. You could also call that your ego. But there's also another voice inside of you that wants you to be the best version of yourself and be that healer for you. So you have, I forget who said this, but I have to give credit to somebody else. This is not my saying, that you have an inner doctor inside of you. So besides freaking yourself out by looking up whatever skin rash you have on WebMD, just take a second to look inward and think about, everything that just think about just yeah, just introspect, think about um, what it is that could be off balance. I think that's one of the first things that I would say. But besides that, you can find me on Instagram, which is where all of my links are. And I have a form on there to work with me. You can book a free session with me. And in the free session, I usually start by getting to know you, setting up your goals, kind of figuring out like that game plan and how it is that like I can best support you. So if you want to take advantage of that, you can find me on Instagram under Emily Nader Fit. So that's my name with FIT at the end of it.
Say that one more time because I'm gonna make sure we get a banner
Right.
up so they can see it.
Emily Nader Fit. I'll write it in the studio. There we go. That's my Instagram. And you can book a free session with me through my links on there.
So, guys, if you're looking for someone that's gonna help you with your New Year's resolutions, Um, Emily is obviously one of the best people that you want to reach out to. You can always follow her. Emily Nader Fit is actually right up here. So then that way you can get yourself where you want to be. Make your goals for you, not your brother, not your mom, not anybody else. And then she's going to really take you through the how you need to make sure those goals are personally for you, instead of for everybody else, because everybody else ain't you. Can't do what everybody else do. You know. Um, but the last thing, Emily, you got anything else for all these beautiful people, all these beautiful viewers and listeners that we got that's going to be not only watching the show after tonight, but going to be watching the show, in a later time as well.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to both of you, first of all, for having me here. I'm so grateful. And to everyone out there listening or not listening, you know yourself best and just, be honest with yourself about who you are and what you want in life and just really follow that, lean into it and bring those good vibes to yourself. That's what you really need and and so much is there for you. But that's it.
Most definitely, most definitely. Well, KP, you got anything else for our beautiful people before we wrap up tonight's show?
I do not just listen to Emily, book a session with her. She said free consultation, y'all. So that means it don't cost you no money to get her perspective. Now, y'all don't go running her ragged now. But definitely use her as a resource and a tool to kickstart your healthcare journey. But that's all I got. I'm hungry. And
Okay.
no, it's
Well,
just because I'm hungry and not because like I'm mind weary, like I'm hungry, hungry. So now I'm good.
Okay. Well, guys, we're about to get ready to wrap up today's show, but most importantly, if you are wanting to be a guest on Beyond the Airways, or just want to let us know, or actually you can ask us to pray for you guys as well. Or we're gonna end tonight's show actually with a music video from one of the artists that sent me their stuff. You can also do that too. So obviously, if you're a contemporary gospel artist, Christian hip hop artist, which we try to promote them a lot because they don't get a lot of love. Um, we're most definitely. All you gotta do is email it to clmediastudios@gmail.com. In the subject box, put Beyond the Airways in. We'll screen it out and we'll let you know the week that we're actually gonna play your video. And then we'll also get you an interview on the show as well. So then that way you can let us know about your career and your journey that goes along with it too. All right. Well, most definitely, guys. Emily, we thank you as well. I mean, you're doing some awesome things for yourself and the community, and you're really letting people know that you don't have to take medication. Because when you were saying that earlier, I thought about Cat Williams when he's doing his stand up, talking about at 2 o'clock in the morning when you see them side effects commercials, you be like, nah, bro, like this is not what it's about. So you're definitely helping where those commercials don't apply to those people because they're not taking medication like that. Other than that, guys, we're about to go ahead and drop this new video that we got. It's called Forgive by a rapper named Forgiven, talking about new swag. Gotta have some swag out there in these streets. And then most importantly, today's show is actually brought to you by Gamefly. Remember, the holiday season is approaching us really soon, and you definitely want to be able to get the new game for your system, whether you rent it or own it. Gamefly has everything that you need to get it to the next level. And guys, we're out, and y'all have a blessed one.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Hey, check my swag.
I got you. See, lately I've been seeing others judge others based on their appearance and how they dress. Saying you gotta look a certain way to go to Christ. See, I think different.
Check my swag, I'm filled with the spirit. Yeah, I'm tatted up with earrings and I'm feeling. Yeah, they quick to judge me, and they don't even know me. But if they take a second, see, I'm filled with His glory. Check my swag, I'm filled with the spirit. Yeah, I'm tatted up with earrings and I'm feeling. Yeah, they quick to judge me, and they don't even know me. But if they take a second, see, I'm filled with His glory.
I go by the name Forgiven, cause simply I'm forgiven. I sold my soul to God, confess my sins, and then He cleansed me. People steady judging based on my appearance, yeah, they see them
tattoos and earrings, assume that Christ hit me.
I could change your perception if you take the time and listen. He gave me a second chance and He put me on a mission. I ain't never killed nobody, had no warrants and went to prison. I sold and did drugs, I'm ashamed, I must admit it. Think I never got addicted, mad off and committed. Most of it was peer pressure just to fit in a recognition. But now it's all different, He's the reason my better living. The reason that I've written every verse you hear me spitting. Back then I might have lost faith and forgot about religion. Come to think about it, I was faking and pretending. I don't need no herb, cause of Christ I'm always lifted. So if my appearance is my only bad habit, I guess I'm good.
My swag, I'm filled with the spirit. Yeah, I'm tatted up with earrings and I'm feeling. Yeah, they quick to judge me, and they don't even know me. But if they take a second, see, I'm filled with His glory. Check my swag, I'm filled with the spirit. Yeah, I'm tatted up with earrings and I'm feeling. Yeah, they quick to judge me, and they don't even know me. But if they take a second, see, I'm filled with His glory.
I'm here for a reason, to make His name famous. I'm not who I used to be, so my life and rearrange it. In return, I spread His word, to make them understand it. No matter what they feel, it's never too late to start changing. In the end, it's coming soon, read it up in Revelations. My goal to show you it's real, no matter what, you gotta face it. It ain't no way around it, so stop the pump faking. Realize you need Christ, and without me you won't make it. And you know I speak that real talk in every conversation. Man, I'm unashamed, and I tell that to the public. The truth might scare a few, but I promise it's gonna touch you. Make a difference from a distance, and I call that getting buckets. And I praise and whip both hands up, surrender like I'm busted. They looking at me like I'm weird, I shout out that I love them. I overcome anything, I ain't scared of nothing. Any weapons thrown at me shall prosper, that's why I trust them.
Check my swag, I'm filled with the spirit. Yeah, I'm tatted up with earrings and I'm feeling. Yeah, they quick to judge me, and they don't even know me. But if they take a second, see, I'm filled with His glory. Check my swag, I'm filled with the spirit. Yeah, I'm tatted up with earrings and I'm feeling. Yeah, they quick to judge me, and they don't even know me. But if they take a second, see, I'm filled with His glory.
So that tells you, just because a person's dressed a certain way or look a certain way, doesn't mean he doesn't have Christ in him. You don't gotta look a certain way to go to Christ. You can be at your lowest, you can still go to him. Luke 6:37. Judge not and you will not be judged. Condemn not and you will not be condemned. Forgive and you will be forgiven. And that's just what I done.
Check my swag.